Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Dear students, you are welcome in this lecture. Today we are going to discuss organic manures, their classification, composition and efficient handling of farmyard manure. So in this case, manures are classified and discuss the composition of some manures, explain the preparation of farmyard manure and factors affecting its composition from farmyard manure and its efficient. So before going into the details, let us see some difficult waste. The waste produced by the farm animals on and off the farm. For example, waste from the cattle shed, digested slurry from gobar gas plant, droppings of sheep and goat, remains from slaughterhouses are all animal waste. Bagasse, these are the residues from the sugarcane industry consisting of crushed stalks from which the juice has been extracted. So this is commonly used in making the paper or in sugar factory itself to generate some heat. Crop waste, mainly organic materials left in an agricultural field or orchard after the crops have been harvested. For example, stalks here means stems, stubbles, leaves and seed pods, etc. Manure, all kinds of plant nutrient sources including organic manures and fertilizers, but now restricted to the animal dung based bulky organic manures, compost, oil cakes, bone meal and other animal maize. Night soil, the semi-solid human excreta is called as night soil. Organic waste, organic materials that is biodegradable and comes from either a plant or an animal. For example, green waste, food waste and pruning waste, etc. are organic waste. Press mud, a byproduct of sugar factories obtained by filtration of the precipitated impurities which settle out in the process of clarification of the mixed juice. Now there is a trend that farmers have started using press mud in their agricultural fields. So they consider it as a good manure. Sewage, the spent water of the community consisting of water carried waste from the residents of commercial buildings and industrial plots and surface and ground waters that enter the sewage system. Soil biodiversity, the variety and variability of living organisms present in the soil is soil biodiversity. Stubbles, part of the mature crop such as base of stem, roots, but not leaves left on the fields after the harvest. Ammonia volatilization, the gaseous loss of nitrogen as ammonia from the soil, manure, fertilizer or other nitrogen sources. Biogas, gas generated by the anaerobic fermentation of organic matter, dung, plant residues comprised of methane and carbon dioxide. So today we will see biogas plant, how much it is useful, etc. Fodder, coarse grasses that are harvested with the seed and green leaves or cured and fed to animals in their entirety as forage. For example, maize, pulse millet and sorghum. Number of crops are there which supply fodder to the animals. Gypsum, it is calcium sulfate CaSO4 2H2O dihydrate, mainly used as a source of calcium and sulfur for crops. So actually gypsum is the cheapest source of sulfur and here it is used to preserve the farmyard manure. We will see how it is useful. Leaching is the removal of soluble material from soil or other permeable material by the passage of water through it. Litter is loose organic debris, leaves, twigs, etc. on the surface of earth consisting of freshly fallen or slightly decomposed organic materials. Methane, a greenhouse gas found in the atmosphere being produced by rice cultivation domestic grazing animals, termites and landfills. Roughage, the bulky and coarse plant materials that are high in fiber, having low proportion of nutrients and total digestible nutrients. Single superphosphate, I think most of you are aware, it is phosphatic fertilizer and produced by the reaction of rock phosphate and sulfuric acid. Perhaps it was also the first fertilizer produced artificially by human beings. Sugarcane trash, the dried leaves and sometimes including tops obtained by stripping them from the canes. Now let us see what do we mean by organic manures. So organic manures are plant and animal waste products that are used as sources of plant nutrients. Organic manures release plant nutrients after their decomposition. These manures contain plant nutrients in complex organic form, but after decomposition or mineralization, they are converted into plant usable forms, which are mostly ionic forms. Now let us see what are the sources of organic manures. What are the fundamental resources or sources through which one can prepare organic manure. So these are cattle shed waste such as dung, urine and slurry from biogas plant. Actually these are the bedding materials. Sometimes in winter months farmers supply bedding material on the earth and animals give their dung and urine which is mixed with the bedding material. So these are cattle shed waste, human habitation waste such as night soil, human urine, town refuse, sewage, sludge and silage, poultry litter, droppings of sheep and goat, slaughterhouse waste such as bone meal, meat meal, blood meal, horn and hoof meal and fish waste. I think you understand meaning of slaughterhouse. Slaughterhouses are the places where these kind of animals are killed and their useful products are separated. Byproducts of agro-industry like oil cakes, bagasse and press mud, fruit and vegetable processing waste etc. are also used as sources of organic manures. Crop waste such as sugarcane trash, stubbles and other related material are also source of organic manures. Water hyacinth, certain weeds can also be used as a source of manure and they can be composted into a useful product, and many other weed and tank silt can also be used as a source of nutrients. Green manure crops that can be grown right in the field in situ and can be turned down to provide nutrients and organic matter to the soil. And there may be green leaf manuring also. Certain leaf twigs or branches or tender leaves are cut and those are mixed into the soil. So that is also green leaf manuring. Let us see the classification of organic manures, how they are classified. So based upon the concentration of plant nutrients in them, organic manures can be grouped into bulky organic manures and concentrated organic manures. So these are two important groups of organic manures. So bulky organic manures have actually lower concentration of plant nutrients than concentrated organic manures. Therefore, the name is derived. Bulky means they are in bulk. They have very little or less concentration of nutrients compared to the concentrated organic manures. Concentrated organic manures means they contain higher concentration of nutrients compared to the bulky organic manures. So you can see this picture how these are divided: organic manures, bulky organic manures and concentrated organic manures. In bulky organic manures, examples are farmyard manure, compost, vermicompost, crop residues and green manures etc. So after in this lecture we will cover farmyard manure, and maybe in the next lecture we will cover compost and vermicompost followed by green manures. In concentrated organic manures we have oil cakes, quite common, bone meal, meat meal, fish manure, bird, guano etc. So these are the sources and classification. Now we see in detail about bulky organic manures. These are contain low concentration of plant nutrients and used in large quantities. Examples of bulky organic manures are farmyard manure, compost, green manure, sheep and goat manure and poultry manure, etc. So, bulky organic manures, we need to see the advantages or merits. So, they provide all the essential plant nutrients including micronutrients, improve the physical properties of soil, particularly structure, water holding capacity, because these bulky organic manures ultimately produce humus, and which improves the soil structure by binding the soil particles, and the improved soil structure allows better water holding capacity of the soil and good penetration of the roots. So, they enhance the availability of native nutrients such as phosphorus, because many of the bulky organic manures produce certain organic acids into the soil that can solubilize the fixed phosphorus. They improve soil biodiversity and biological activity, because they are actually carbonaceous materials. They contain sufficient carbon, and many organisms require this carbon and energy. So, this is actually a food for organism. Therefore, organisms multiply very fast when we add organic manure to the soil. Certain plant parasitic nematodes and fungi could be controlled. This is quite interesting, that on the decomposition of organic manure, certain harmful organisms are also killed or their population is reduced. Let us see in detail about concentrated organic manures. These manures contain relatively higher concentration of plant nutrients, especially of nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium as compared to the bulky organic manures. Such manures are made from raw materials of plant or animal origin. Examples are oil cakes, blood meal, fish manure, and release of nutrients is somewhat slower, but they supply available nitrogen to a longer period. However, compared to bulky organic manures, their release is little bit faster. Now, see the differences in bulky and concentrated organic manures in this table. So, there are certain points based upon which these manures have been distinguished from each other. Second column has bulky organic manures and last column has concentrated organic manures. So, NPK contents is low in bulky organic manures and high in concentrated organic manures. CN ratio high, low, carbon content high, low, nutrient availability relatively slow in organic manures, and in concentrated organic manure it is fast. Insecticidal properties generally not observed in bulky organic manures, but certain cakes under concentrated organic manures like neem cake can be used to manage certain insect pests in soils. Influence on physical soil properties quite prominent in case of bulky manures, because their rates of application are generally high, and in case of concentrated organic manure, influence on physical property is less or not very prominent. Sources are plant, humans, earthworms and livestock, and in case of concentrated organic manures, plants, dead slaughtered animals, fish, birds, etc. Rate of application is generally high for bulky organic manures, and for them the rate of application is low. Time of preparation in bulky organic manures it is long, and in concentrated it is short. Examples are farmyard manure, compost, green manure, sheep and goat manure, poultry manure under bulky organic manures, and oil cakes, blood meal, horn and hoof meal, etc. in concentrated organic manures. Now, let us see how much is the availability and potential of major organic sources for manures and nutrients, because whenever we make organic manures, whether it is farmyard manure, compost or vermicompost, we need a raw material. So, we need to see that how much raw materials can be made available for this purpose. So, Manna and co-workers 2015 suggested the availability of organic manure or organic sources in India and their potential to supply primary nutrients for agriculture. So, let us see in detail the CN ratio of organic waste, crop residues, agro-industrial organic waste, city garbage and forest litter is very wide, ranging from 80 to 110. 10 major crops: rice, wheat, sorghum, pulse millet, barley, finger millet, sugarcane, potato, tubers and pulses of India generate about 679 million tons of crop residues, out of which approximately 226 million tons is practically available, that has potential to supply about 5.6 million ton of NPK. Therefore, these organic sources really have very good potential to supply NPK. If we make contribution from these sources to meet out the nutrient requirement, then we can decrease the consumption and requirement of chemical fertilizers. So, this would be very environment friendly approach. The potential availability of all animal excreta is about 369 million ton, of which 119 million ton is actually available, that potentially supply about 1.7 million ton of plant nutrients. So, roughly we are just wasting half of the animal excreta, and if we can save this, then we can additionally supply about 1.5 or 1.7 million tons of NPK to the agriculture. It is estimated that about 64.8 or rather 65 million tons of city waste is generated every year from different sites of India that have nutrient potential of about 0.285 million ton of NP and K. So, therefore, there is definitely need to tap all these available resources, available organic resources, and convert them into manures so that we can reduce the chemical fertilizer requirement. The estimated annual generation of byproducts or waste from the horticultural and plantation sectors is estimated at 263.4 million ton, out of which 134 million ton is considered to be available for recycling. It is also estimated that every million ton increase in food grain production will produce 1.2 to 1.5 million ton of crop residue, and every million increases in cattle population can supply extra 1.2 million ton of dry dung per year. So, these are quite interesting data. Every million increase in human population will discharge 16,500 ton feces dry basis. Thus, the projected supply of nutrients from all the waste including crop residues is 6.25 and 10.25 million ton respectively during the year 1991, 2011 and 2030. So, these have very great potential. It is estimated that if these wastes are managed properly in a scientific manner, it can be a source of 10 million ton plant nutrients and would also improve soil health and crop productivity. Thus, efficient recycling of available organic waste is necessary to keep the environment safe and make their best use in crop production. I want to bring to your kind notice about the menace of rice straw burning, particularly during the harvest season of rice in the month of October and November. Farmers in Punjab, Haryana and Western UP and some other parts are burning rice straw residues, creating lot of pollution, hue and cry here and there. Therefore, those kind of residues can be effectively used as a source of manure, and we can compost those residues to make a good manure. Now, we restrict our discussion now to the farmyard manure, which we are going to discuss in detail: preparation, composition and efficient handling of farmyard manure. So, let us see what is farmyard manure. It is the well-decayed mix of dung and urine produced by the farm animals along with their bedding materials and the roughages or fodder that could not be consumed by them. It means that FYM is composed of your animal dung, animal urine, bedding material of course, and it also includes the fodder which remained unused by the animal. So, mixture of several things, and that is decomposed for a long time, and then whatever is the end result is your farmyard manure. The recently gathered and stored farmyard manure is called as fresh farmyard manure against the well decomposed FYM which has been stored for a much long time, and that is called as matured farmyard manure. So, fresh farmyard manure and the matured farmyard manure. A well-rotten farmyard manure contains on an average 0.5% nitrogen, 0.2% phosphorus in form of P2O5 and 0.5% K2O potassium. Urine, which is a waste, contains about 1% nitrogen and 1.35% potassium. So, there is no practically phosphorus in the urine of the cattle or animal. Nitrogen in urine as urea may be lost by ammonia, volatilization. So, this is issue. If the urine is not collected properly, it may lose its ammonia or it may lose its urea by ammonia volatilization. To avoid such losses, the available litter and refuse can be mixed with soil and spread in the shed to absorb urine. So, this is one way to collect the urine or increase the recovery of the urine. The next morning, urine soaked refuse and dung can be placed in the trench. When fillings in trench reach a height of 45 to 60 centimeter above ground, the top of the heap is sealed with cow dung earth slurry. Sealing encourages the process of decomposition. So, this is how we season the farmyard manure. The manure matures in 4 to 5 months after plastering. Urine can be absorbed by bedding materials spread in the shed. Urine can be collected by common drains in the cattle shed to transfer it to a cemented pit. Later on, it can be transferred to the farmyard manure pit. Means sometimes what happens, particularly in dairy farms, where they have large number of animals, a common urine drainage channel can be prepared. Urine can be collected in some big pot or in some houses by making suitable structures, and then it can be mixed with the farmyard manure. And also chemical preservatives can be used to produce ammonia losses and enrich the manure. And examples are gypsum and superphosphate. These fertilizer can be used to reduce the losses, gaseous losses. Gypsum can be spread uniformly for the absorption of urine in cattle shed, it revitalization from the urine. You can see this is the farmyard manure, well decomposed farmyard manure. It is ready to be used for agricultural crops. Now, see the composition of raw material used to prepare farmyard manure. If our basic material, raw material or organic material is rich in organic nutrients or rich in nutrients, it will give us better manure compared to the material which is not rich in organic nutrients. So, just to make you some idea, let us see how much is the NPK concentration in different animal refuse, manures and other organic materials. Cattle dung and urine mixed, it contains 0.6% nitrogen, 0.15% phosphorus P2O5 and 0.45% K2O. Horse dung 0.7, 0.25 and 0.55%, and sheep dung 0.95, 0.35 and 1%. Poultry manure, which is rich, you see it contains 1 to 1.8% nitrogen, very rich, and 1.4 to 1.8% phosphorus and 0.8 to 0.9% potassium. Cattle urine contains 0.9 to 1.2% nitrogen and traces of phosphorus. Practically there is no phosphorus in cattle urine and 0.5 to 1% K2O. Now, see some wood ashes. Wood ashes of coal contain 0.73, 0.45 and 0.53. See household waste, how the wood ashes of household. Household also produce some ashes, particularly by burning the dung or dung cakes. So, in this case you see it contains about 0.5 to 1.9% nitrogen, 1.6 to 4.2% phosphorus and 2.3 to 12% of potassium K2O. So, it is very rich source of potassium, this household ash prepared by burning the dung, and it can be directly used in certain crops like barsim and in many other crops. And in our rural areas, people still use this ash to clean their utensils, and it is mainly because of presence of high amount of potassium that our utensils get cleaned by this ash. And babool wood ash may have 0.1 to 2.2% nitrogen, 2.5 to 3% phosphorus and 3.5 to 4.5% potassium. Let us see the quantity of excreta or dung, mainly dung produced by the livestock. The amount of excreta, dung and urine produced per year by different animals depends upon the age and weight of the animal. Number 1, the total quantity of fodder and concentrate fed daily. So, see the data in this table that cow can produce average weight of cow if it is 272 kg, then it can produce total excreta about 7,324 kilograms, and total urine may be 2,187 and dung may be 5,137. So, likewise see other animals like bullocks, sheep, pig and horse. Horse produces very high quantity of excreta. It produces about 11,415 kilograms of total excreta, out of which 2,283 is the urine and 9,132 is the total dung. Therefore, all kind of excreta should be collected as far as possible so that we can prepare a good farmyard manure. Among the various farm animals, horse produce the largest quantity of excreta per year. Buffaloes might be producing nearly the same quantity under Indian conditions. Next in order are bullocks and cows. Due to their small live weight, sheep and pigs produce lesser quantity of excreta. And now see the quantity of nutrients produced by the livestock. Cows and bullocks on an average produce 42 to 56 kilogram of nitrogen, very big amount of nitrogen, 10 to 14 kilogram of phosphorus in terms of P2O5 and 34 to 46 kilogram of potassium as K2O per head annually in their dung and urine. So, you can see that these kind of manures or these kind of dung and urine materials are quite rich in nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Sheep and pigs produce relatively small amount of these nutrients because their quantity of excreta is also less. Horses on the other hand produce the maximum amount of nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium in their dung and urine. The common farm animals like bullocks, cows and buffaloes produce large amount of dung and urine. If properly conserved, this manure can add large quantities of organic matter and nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium to the Indian soil. So, these manures have very high potential to supply nutrients, particularly nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium for crop cultivation. Quantity of nutrients produced by the livestock. So, approximate quantity in kilograms of plant nutrients excreted per head annually by various animals. See, in case of cow, dung supplies 20.71 kilograms of nitrogen, 10.2 kilogram of phosphorus and 5.1 kilogram of K2O. Similarly, urine 21.87 kilogram nitrogen, no phosphorus and 29.5 kg K2O. So, total quantity of nutrients produced by cow is 42.28 nitrogen and 10.2 kilogram phosphorus and 34.62 kilogram potassium. Take the case of horse. Dung supplies 49.89 kilogram of nitrogen, 27.21 kilogram of phosphorus and 36.28 kilogram of potassium. However, its urine gives little lesser quantity of nutrients, that is 30.61 kilogram nitrogen, no phosphorus and 28.35 kilogram of potassium. So, overall you can see that horse can produce in dung and urine about 80.5 kilogram of nitrogen, which is a big deal, 80.5 kilogram of nitrogen, 27.21 kilogram phosphorus and 64.63 kilogram of potassium. Now, let us see what are the factors that influence the composition of farmyard manure. Number 1 is species of the animal, which species you are using to get or prepare the manure. So, sheep and poultry manure is richer in NPK than cow, horse and pig manure, because the urine and the excreta of sheep and poultry is relatively richer in nutrients, particularly nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. So, see this table, average percentage of nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium in the fresh excreta of farm animals. So, cows and bullocks, urine contains 1% nitrogen and traces of phosphorus and 1.35% of potassium. Sheep and goat urine contain relatively more nitrogen, 1.35% nitrogen, 0.05% phosphorus and 2.1% of potassium. Horses urine 1.35% and traces of phosphorus and 1.25% of potassium. So, you can see that the excreta of sheep and goat is relatively richer in nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Therefore, manure which is prepared from excreta of sheep and goat will give you more nutrients, more concentration of nutrients compared to the manure prepared from the dung or urine of cows and bullocks. Next is age and condition of the animal also influence the composition of FYM. Composition here means the concentration of nutrients. So, manure produced from old or sick animals is rich in nutrients than that produced from young and healthy animals, as they retain more nutrients from the food, because older animals do not have a good digestive system. So, they cannot extract or digest all the nutrients and retain in their body. So, most of the nutrients from old animals are released into the dung or urine. So, therefore, manure prepared from the old animals or sick animals is rich in nutrients compared to the manure prepared from the young animals. Task of the animal, generally speaking, heavier the task, more is the utilization of nutrients and less concentration of nutrients in the excreta. If an animal is not doing anything, it is idle, so it will not consume most of the nutrients, and they will be released in the dung or excreta or urine, and they will not be richer in nutrients. So, manure from bullocks will be richer in nutrients than from cows producing milk. Cow producing milk will consume more energy, will require more nutrients. Therefore, compared to bullock, the manure of the cow producing milk will be poor in nutrients. Animal producing milk absorb more nutrients from their food compared to animals that are working or are at the rest. Now, quality of feed and fodder. If your feed and fodder is rich in nutrients, the manure in general will be richer in nutrients. So, for example, if you have more nitrogen, leguminous fodder is fed to the cattle, and the dung and excreta is used to prepare the manure, it may contain more nitrogen, more nutrients compared to the fodder fed as cereal. Cereal fodder is fed to the animals. So, richer the food in protein, the richer will be the manure in nitrogen. The same holds good for phosphorus, potassium and other nutrients. Method of storage. Under ordinary conditions of storage, farmyard manure suffers loss of nitrogen as ammonia, and if any drainage is allowed to escape from the manure heap, loss of potash also occurs. With bad storage, losses of plant nutrients will still be more. Now, next factor that influence the composition of farmyard manure is type of bedding material. Which bedding material has been used on the floor to collect urine and dung from the animal. So, FYM composition varies considerably according to the nature of the material or bedding material used as a litter. So, see in the table nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium contents of different cereals. So, paddy straw is relatively poor in nitrogen. It contains 0.36% nitrogen, 0.08% phosphorus and 0.71% potassium. Wheat straw contain more of these three: 0.53% nitrogen, 0.1% phosphorus, 1.1% potassium. So, you can see that wheat straw is richer in nutrients compared to the paddy straw. And you can also check bajra straw. It is richest among the listed. So, you can see it contains 0.65% nitrogen, 0.75% phosphorus and 2.5% potassium. That means, if the bedding material is from bajra, so manure prepared from this kind of bedding material will have more concentration of NPK compared to the manure which is prepared from the paddy straw as bedding material. So, differences occur mainly because of the bedding material. So, just now you have seen the factors that affect the composition of farmyard manure. And according to that, we can somehow manipulate these factors so that we can produce a good farmyard manure. Now see losses of nutrients during handling and storage of farmyard manure. Losses during handling plus losses during storage we are going to discuss. So losses during handling means how we handle it, how we collect it, how we transport it, how we will prepare the manure. So if floor of the cattle shed is cemented, uncemented or kacha, the urine gets soaked into it. Most of the time in villages, people have kacha or sand as a bedding material for animals, and urine is soaked into it. Large quantities of nitrogen are lost through ammonia volatilization. If you have pakka kind of floor, in that case the urine washes away from the floor and it does not get collected. The above loss can be prevented by using straw as a bedding material and construction of concrete floor. A major part of dung is used for making cow dung cakes used as cooking fuel. It is a common practice that large quantities of animal dungs are used for making the cakes. The cakes, and these cakes, or we call it upla or other names, are used as a fuel material, which is maybe necessity of the rural people, but on the other side it is waste of the organic material, waste of the dung. When animals go out of grazing, no efforts are made to collect the dung dropped by them. Many times people leave their animals for grazing from their houses, and when they passes through the kacha roads and different ways and routes in rural area or on the farm, they leave their dung right on the way, which is not reaching to the fields. So efforts are not made to collect this wasted manure or wasted material, dung of the animal. You see, these are the cakes, cow dung cakes, which is very common sight in rural villages of our India. And also certain insect also make a loss of the dung. For example, dung beetle. These are actually rollers. They can bury dung 250 times their own mass in one night. Roll dung into round bars which are used as a food source or breeding chambers. They are quite intelligent beetles, and then they take away a significant quantity of dung from the houses or from the bedding of animals. And further, there may be green bottle flies feeding on cow dung. So you must have seen such kind of flies which feed and take up some part of the dung produced by the animals. Now, what are the common methods for preparation of farmyard manure? There are three important methods. One is pit method, other is trench method, and third one is heap method. So on an average, this heap method is quite common in rural areas, which is not very scientific method of collecting or keeping or preparing farmyard manure. So let us see in detail about the pit method. So in pit method, the length of the pit is 8 meter and width of the pit is 2 meter and depth of the pit is 1 meter. So size is 8 meter by 2 meter by 1 meter. Sometimes length can also be reduced or slightly increased depending upon the requirement and the quantity of organic material that is going to be composted or going to be prepared as FYM. So materials are filled in layers by mixture of dung, urine and litter up to about 50 centimeter above the ground, because after some time the material will reduce its bulkness of the material will reduce as the decomposition process starts. So in the end you will find that this layer above the soil surface will not remain above the soil surface, it will come down, covered by dry soil and then plastered by mud paste. So it takes about 150 to 180 days, means normally you can say 5 to 6 months to get farmyard manure prepared by this method. So usually 10 to 12 tons of farmyard manure per pit can be obtained, and one animal on an average can produce 5 to 6 tons of farmyard manure per year. The next method is trench method. Certain trenches are prepared, and this method was developed by Dr. C.N. Acharya. Therefore, it is also called as C.N. Acharya method. The length of the pits is 6 to 8 meter. Sorry, not pit, trench. Length of the trench is 6 to 8 meter, and the width is 1.5 to 2 meter, and the height of the or depth of the trench is 1 to 1.25 meter. So, actually mixture of dung and urine soaked litter is deposited in layers until it becomes 50 centimeter above the ground layer. Covered with 50 centimeter deep soil or wood ash soil layer, and then plastered by mud paste, and it also mature roughly in 150 to 160 days. But these two are very scientific method, pit method and trench method. The losses of nutrients are relatively less compared to the heap method, which is quite common and rampant in rural areas. Now, third method is heap method, and it is of course most commonly used by the farmers, and sweepings, cow dung and litter are collected and heaped at any fixed place. So, they do not select a right place. The right place should be the place where you will have minimum losses. So, it should be prepared not on the low lying area, but on the high elevated areas. These kind of pits should be opened, and they, if possible, they should be covered with the thatches or some other material, so that rainwater does not enter the pit or they enter the heat, so that nutrients are preserved. So, it takes about 6 to 9 months and 30 to 35% nitrogen. This is quite interesting, quite disappointing rather, that 30 to 35% nitrogen, 20 to 25% phosphorus and 4 to 6% potassium is lost due to leaching, washing and volatilization. So, most of the losses occur by heap, most of the losses particularly for nitrogen and phosphorus occur in the heap method compared to other methods. Now, you see this picture, does it look nice? It is picture from a village, and you can see that the manure or dung is collected in heap, which is along the roadside, and whenever the rains come, and they will wash away lot of the nutrients from this manure, and they will also wash away the humus material from this. So, there will be 30 to 35% losses of nitrogen and maybe 20-30% phosphorus. So, this method is not very scientific, and it is susceptible to be losses. Now, see, losses during storage are also possible, not just handling. Sometimes we get nutrient losses during the storage also. So, cattle dung and wasted fodder are collected daily in the morning and transferred to the manure heaps in an open space for a long period. During this, the manure remains exposed to the sun and rain, and the nutrients are lost by leaching and volatilization. So, these are the two important nutrient loss mechanism. Number one is leaching, other is volatilization. So, leaching is the rainwater causes leaching of water soluble nutrients, organic acids and other constituents. Actually, whether we have heap or pit, whatever method of collection we have, if rain comes and certain material is partially decomposed, there are already nitrates, sulfate, chlorides and some other negatively charged ions. So, those kind of ions will leach down along with water into the groundwater. So, these kind of losses are quite common when we prepare the farmyard manure, and particularly during the storage stage. The next loss is volatilization loss. This is for ammonia volatilization. So, you have seen it also happens in the cattle shed, where urine can lose some ammonia by volatilization. Similarly, when we store these materials, dung, urine and bedding material in a pit or in a heap, that time also volatilization occur, because in the process of decomposition, the first step is aminization, and after aminization amino acids are produced, and these amino acids are converted into ammonical form of nitrogen is present in the partially decomposed organic materials in the heap or pit. So, that ammonium is really susceptible to be lost by volatilization. So, considerable amount of ammonia is lost due to the decomposition of urea and other nitrogenous compounds of the manure. Particularly when we have very high temperature and good moisture conditions are available, we will have high losses of ammonia by volatilization. So, now let us see some improved methods of handling farmyard manure to prevent the nutrient losses. We have seen two are major losses, one is leaching, other is volatilization. So, what can be done so that we can reduce the losses of nitrogen or phosphorus? So, manure heap site. Select the manure heap site at a raised level, at a little bit elevated level. It should not be at a very low lying area where the washing of the manure can occur, and make a concrete floor. If possible, we should go for a concrete floor. If we make a pit or trench, that should be concrete floor, or alternative what we can do alternatively, we can put some thick sized polythene or at least on the bottom or also on the side of the pit or side of the trench. So, this will reduce the leaching losses, particularly leaching losses can be reduced by this. And one can also provide a thatched or preferably tin cover. Thatch means your chopper kind of thing can be put or erected, or like some tin shed can also be made to protect it from the sun rays or solar radiation, as well as protect it from the rains. That will save the nitrate in the manure. Certain chemical preservatives can also be used to preserve the nitrogen. So, chemical preservative can be applied in the cattle shed, means right in the cattle shed, to permit direct contact with the liquid portion of excreta or urine. So, you can see certain preservative can be used. These preservatives are gypsum also used as amendment, soil amendment, and Government of India is giving good subsidy. So, if we use it for crop production, we use it as a source of sulfur. It is good source of sulfur, rather cheaper source of sulfur used there, but it can also be used to prevent the volatilization losses of ammonia from the urine or liquid dung. So, besides gypsum, there is one more fertilizer which is single superphosphate. It can also be used. So, the reaction involved in preventing loss of ammonia is given under. So, you can see it is ammonium carbonate, NH4 twice CO3. So, ammonium carbonate from urea in urine, and then if gypsum is added, gypsum is already there on the floor or on the bedding material, then they will react together and calcium carbonate will be formed, and this ammonium sulphate NH4 twice SO4 ammonium sulphate will be made. So, this ammonium sulphate is not easily lost as ammonia, or volatilization losses can be reduced. Next option could be biogas plant, means why to wait for manure to get 6 months, 5 months wait to get farmyard manure prepared. Let us directly reduce the CN ratio of this manure by biogas method or by producing biogas. So, this is now gaining very importance in rural areas. Now, many farmers are accepting this technology, biogas plant or gobar gas plant technology, in which some energy is produced and there is production of slurry, and those kind of energy produced can be used on the farm for various purposes. So, the biogas plant produces methane gas and slurry. So, there are two output of biogas plant or gobar gas plant. One is methane gas and then other is slurry. So, this methane gas can be used for cooking purposes or some generating some electricity, etc. The methane gas can be utilized for cooking purposes, for lighting the rural homes, and even for running tube well pump for irrigation purposes. There are several advantages of biogas slurry. Avasthi in 1975 has proposed certain advantages and which still holds true. Biogas slurry is quite rich in nitrogen than the original ingredients, means whatever concentration of nutrients was there in animal dung or urine. Now that concentration will be enriched because carbon is removed from that material. So the CN ratio also becomes narrow for this material. So biogas slurry is quite rich in nitrogen than the original ingredients due to addition of living and dead microorganisms. It also contains phosphates, potash means commonly potassium, sulfur, and a number of micronutrients like zinc and iron are also present. Biogas slurry is extremely cheap and is made by locally available material. The prolonged use maintains as well as builds up the soil fertility. It is really good source of nutrient because composition is richer than the dung of farmyard manures. So many times I have seen that farmers directly use it into the field. Once the slurry is produced from the biogas plant or gobar plant, that slurry is directly applied into the field. Sometimes they apply it with the irrigation water for uniform distribution of this slurry. So it can be directly used in the field. Now you can see this is a structure of biogas or gobar plant. I took it from a village and you can see the methane gas is produced, and on the left side you can see this is the slurry, biogas slurry, which can be used as a manure in place of farmyard manure. Now biogas is typically made up of methane. Most of the constituent of biogas is methane, which may be 50 to 70%, and other gases, carbon dioxide, may be 30 to 40%, and there may be some other trace gases. So what are the uses of this biogas? Fuel or cooking or lighting purposes, and of course manure slurry can be directly used as a manure, and solving sanitation problems. You have seen there comes some flies and some unwanted animals may come to the dung, and sometimes there is very bad odor from the dung. So all these problems can be avoided if we use gobar gas plant to produce the slurry. So sanitation problems are also solved, and let us see the nutrient status of biogas slurry. Manure, nitrogen, P2O5 and K2O. See the comparative concentration of nutrients. Biogas slurry has 1.4% nitrogen. Farmyard has 0.5, means almost one-third nitrogen of biogas slurry in FYM. And town compost is rich in nitrogen, contains about 1.5% nitrogen. So far phosphorus is concerned, this biogas slurry has 1% phosphorus, which is equal to town compost, which also has 1% phosphorus. FYM has 0.2% phosphorus, but biogas slurry have almost 5 times more phosphorus, that is 1% phosphorus. Coming to the potassium, again biogas slurry is richer in potassium compared to the farmyard manure. Biogas slurry contains 0.8% potassium and FYM contains only 0.5% potassium, and town compost contains about 1.5% potassium, and potassium is expressed in terms of K2O. Now proper management of farmyard manure in fields. What are the practices when we go for fields? So first thing, before we go for these guidelines, I would like to tell that farmyard manure should be well rotten. The half cooked or semi prepared or raw farmyard manure should never be used under the field conditions, mainly because of 3 reasons. Number 1 is that relatively its CN ratio is very wide. So when we add this CN ratio, which is immature, which is raw, then the nitrogen of the soil will be utilized by microbes. So there will be deficiency of nitrogen in the soil. This is one problem. Another problem is because it is half decomposed. When we decompose it in the field, the lot of heat is generated, and this generated heat could be harmful to the growing seedlings, to the growing plants. And third aspect is when we use raw farmyard manure, it invites lot of termites into the field, and those termites can attack the crops. So therefore, at no time this raw farmyard manure should not be used. A well matured farmyard manure should be, or well rotten farmyard manure should be used in the field. Other points are that the general practice by farmers is to leave the manure in small piles during the hot summer months. Manure is spread on surface but not mixed. This is another issue. With soil for several days loses its potentiality. The prevailing practice of keeping manure in small heaps spread all over the field for a longer time encourages the significant losses of plant nutrients. So what are suggestions? Partially rotten farmyard manure has to be applied 3 to 4 weeks before sowing. One thing is, it should not be applied, but if it is applied, it should be applied 3 to 4 weeks before the sowing, so that seedlings are not harmed. However, the well rotten manure can be applied immediately before sowing. Thus, manure should be mixed into the soil immediately after its application. Otherwise, we can have ammonia volatilization losses from the heaps. Now, see sheep and goat manure. The droppings of sheep and goats are richer in nutrients than farmyard manure and compost. On an average, this manure contains 3% nitrogen, 1% phosphorus and 2% potassium. So, sheep and goat manure is quite rich in nutrients. So, it can be applied to the field in two ways. There are two methods of using sheep and goat manure. The sweeping of the sheep or goat sheds are placed in pits for decomposition, and it is applied later to the field. The nutrients present in the urine cannot be recovered in this method. The second method is sheep penning, wherein sheep and goats are kept overnight in the field, and urine and fecal matter added to the soil is incorporated to a shallow depth by working blade harrow or cultivator or suitable implement. Now, after sheep and goat manure, let us get some information about poultry manure. So, it is rich source of nutrients as solid and liquid excreta are excreted or released together, resulting in no urine loss. So, this is a good practice or good chance. The nutrient content of unprocessed poultry manure deteriorate quickly. If left exposed, 50% of its nitrogen lost within 30 days. So, this is a limitation of poultry manure. Therefore, the immediate processing of poultry manure to prevent its rapid decomposition and save its nutrient properties is necessary. Composting, or the biological degradation of organic waste, has been investigated as a method of stabilizing poultry litter and manure prior to land application. Sometimes there may be bad smell in the excreta of poultry, so that can be avoided by composting this material. And remember, the composting process is very fast because it is rich in nitrogen. Nutrient content of this manure varies considerably depending upon the conditions under which it is processed, the ratio of litter to manure and the moisture content. Average nutrient content is 3.03% nitrogen, 2.63% phosphorus and 1.4% K2O. So, it is much rich than the farmyard manure prepared from the cattle, which contains only 0.5% phosphorus, 0.5% nitrogen, 0.2% phosphorus and 0.5% potassium. Compared to that, this poultry manure is very rich in nutrients. Composting can be done, and the advantage is that the volume is reduced and there is no odor, fly attraction is avoided and weed seed viability is not there. Composting poultry manure under anaerobic condition helps for greater recovery of final product and negligible loss of nutrients, particularly that of nitrogen. So, poultry manure on an average contains 3.03% nitrogen, 2.63% phosphorus and 1.4% K2O. So, thank you very much, but I would like to say that there are so many organic sources or organic waste are available that needs to be recycled along with farmyard manure or composting process, and we need to be careful in handling the farmyard manure. We should try to avoid the volatilization and leaching losses, and in the field we should not make the heaps of the farmyard manure. It should be immediately incorporated in the field so that we get the best result from these manures. Thank you.